Alrighty, good morning, everyone tuning in to the T Podcast. Today we got a great episode. We're going to be talking with a local senior advisor of a company called Stryde Solutions. His name is Jack Marshall. He can help businesses save a lot of money in various ways. We're going to talk to him a little bit about all of that good stuff. But first, I want to go ahead and give Mr. Jack a chance to kind of introduce himself and kind of let him know, kind of let you guys know what we're going to be talking about as far as all of the different savings. And he'll make it quick first, and then we'll kind of dive in a little deeper after the introduction. So Jack, welcome to the T Podcast, and go ahead and let everybody know kind of who you are and kind of what it is that you do.
Thanks very much, Ben. And at the onset, before all that, I just want to thank Developing Lafayette for what you guys have done. I think it's turned into a phenomenal platform for so many businesses and for the growth of the hub city, and continued success to you and anything that anybody can do locally here, including myself, to help that along. Be happy to do that.
Well, I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, great.
And so tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, are you originally from the Lafayette area, or did you move here at a certain time?
Great question. I'm originally not from Lafayette. The story is I'm probably not from anywhere. I've lived all over the world. And
a nomad?
A nomad. And they say when you lived everywhere, you don't sound like you're from anywhere. So that's kind of me. But I was actually born in New Orleans.
Okay.
Moved around the 20s or so. Went overseas, lived in several different countries, Sweden, Tanzania, Croatia, a lot of that just sort of educational and exploring, and came back to the United States, finished up with 3 degrees here, not necessarily in Louisiana, but in Texas. What brought me to Lafayette, it was my wife. She's from here. And
that's always what's happened, man. It's always a woman that brings the people that are not from here.
And you can't get it out of their blood, so we're
going
to respect that as much as we ever will. But her parents were getting up in age, and we were living in Dallas at the time. So from Dallas to Lafayette's about a 7-hour one-way trip.
Oh, little ways.
A little bit of a schlep. And every time, something was going on health-wise with one of her parents, we had to drop what we're doing and go all the way, make that trip, go back. And it got to be where, you know what, you really miss your family. You really miss, your home, where you grew up and all that. What I was doing, I can pretty much do remotely from anywhere. And I'm game for new adventures. So let's do that. So we left Dallas and ended up here. And I love the hub city. Everybody, obviously the food's great.
Yeah.
But the camaraderie and the friendship is just beyond repair. So
yeah, there's somebody I was talking with yesterday about Lafayette and just kind of what makes Lafayette special. He was saying that he was from the Chicago area. And, you have your small towns in various places, but he said something about this area. And like you, he met a woman here and ultimately moved here.
Yeah.
But he said there's something special about the Lafayette area. And I hear that from a lot of people that, there's this one thing that kind of just draws them, and they're not quite sure. They can't put their finger on what keeps them here, but it's something special.
Right.
And you mentioned you not sounding like you're from anywhere.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, you do sound like you're from somewhere, at least maybe on a commercial or something, because the voice sounds very very radio-esque. I think maybe I asked you this, but do you do voiceovers? Like, what is that you do? Probably extracurricular type of stuff.
I do. In fact, I have an agent who kind of does that. I don't do it full-time professionally. A little more than a hobby, and they'll send work my way, and I just say a few lines, and then they make me sound like God. So you probably recognize my voice in a lot of commercials. I've done, Citibank, Jack Daniels, CNN, TNT, a lot of their promos, and then a lot of private companies for a lot of their e-learning type of facilities and things like some theme parks, keep your hands inside of the rails
Oh,
until
wow.
it comes to a full stop, those type of things.
You don't do voiceovers for like nature Discovery Channel type things where you're watching the lions kind of sit in the safari and you're talking like, oh, this the lioness is staring down the. You don't do those.
Sort of like a David Attenborough. Not quite to that extent. I have done some for some outfitters, which is sort of on that level. But I'll read the script, and if it's within the guides of my personal beliefs and that kind of thing, then I'll go ahead and do it, and then they'll mix it in the studio. And that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
All
yeah,
right.
so that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, so just let you guys know that are watching. This is the tea. All right. So, Jack, we are here to talk about saving money. If you're a business owner, you have different tax credits that are hard to find, are sometimes almost impossible for the small business owner. Some of the bigger companies may be able to find these on their own, but what you do and the company that you work for is essentially finding various tax credits that save a lot of money. What is I guess if you had to give a 20-second kind of like what it is you do with the company, what is that?
I would say the easiest way to describe it, and I always get the tell me more after I say this, is I spend my money to help make your company and your business more profitable. And in a nutshell, that's exactly the way that it works. So we'll delve into several different categories, and it's not just tax incentives, as you mentioned. It's also some other cost savings categories that businesses many times qualify for. And based on that, we'll run through a proprietary app what those numbers are, almost like a questionnaire. So it's tax season now, so you're doing your taxes, and you go through a few different things.
Oh, yeah.
And based on that, we can come up with a pretty good estimate as about what those savings are going to be. And then after that, we'll do a deep dive and look into that and kind of start that process.
Okay.
The great thing about it, it does not cost a business owner a dime to do this.
Hey, look, we all like free around here.
Free is a great word. So that's the best part about it. And that's why we're spending our money to help find those areas. So the way that the whole thing sort of goes through is based on that discovery of what we find on there. Then we do all the legwork. We back engineer it through our offices. We audit all the services, and we'll go into that a little bit more specifically, and then find out what those are. The services, the vendors, or whoever they're using, we then negotiate those with them and bring them down. So just to be clear, we don't replace any of these services. We basically are sort of their guardian angels and look at those costs and get those down. The average business, and you mentioned, small and larger ones, and we do have large clients, Microsoft, Nike, Popeye's Fried Chicken is even one. And, they have processes in place now based on what we're doing that they're saving obviously substantial amount. But we don't just do Fortune 500 or 100 companies. We do the small mom and pop, companies in Lafayette, Louisiana, Anytown, USA, which is Main Street, USA. And that's really where the bread and butter is for this country, And all that we've been through in the last 2.5, 3 years with COVID, we have significantly been able to help a lot of businesses just keep their doors open through these tax incentives, through the savings. The average amount that a business will save is $240,000. Not just save, but they actually receive that money. So it's not a deduction, it's not a saving, if you will, but they're actually receiving that money. And that money has been very valuable for many businesses, let's say a small restaurant, for example, to keep their doors open and continue hiring to retain their employees.
Wow, man. Okay, so I'm interested in kind of diving a little bit more on that. But first, I want to go ahead and mention my sponsors. So as you guys know, the Music Academy of Acadiana is Acadiana's top choice for music lessons. Basically, anything you want to learn, voice, drums, violin, audio production, all that good stuff. They teach it at the Music Academy of Acadiana. They teach students of all ages and styles. They've sent students to college and to compete in major music competitions. You may have seen their students on American Idol and The Voice. It's founded by University of Louisiana at Lafayette Music School graduate Tim Benson. The Academy has been voted as the top finalist in several different national awards, local awards. They've received numerous awards over the years. Their goal is to make music lessons fun, educational, and to help foster the next generation of musicians and creative thinkers. You can check them out at their website, which is on your screen. But if you want to hear it out, it's musicacademyacadiana.com. Don't add the of in the domain. It's musicacademyacadiana.com. And then we also have our tech sponsor, The Orchard. Basically, they are Lafayette's only locally owned Apple authorized service provider. It's kind of a mouthful, but it means a lot because The Orchard has Apple's checklist, and Apple has certified The Orchard to be able to make repairs on behalf of Apple at The Orchard. So if you have an Apple device that's broken, needs repair, or you just need a new Apple device, The Orchard has your back on that. And they also do in-home and in-office networking as well. You can check them out locally at their two stores, one by Buffalo Wild Wings on Ambassador, and then one by Super One Foods in Karen Crow. And then you can also go to the website, theorchardstores.com. Alrighty, so we appreciate our sponsors, man. Jack, so we were talking about the savings, and you said one thing that was going to be a question that I had was, is it a deduction or is it a thing that's paid to you? And what I'm kind of pleasantly surprised is to hear that it's actually money that goes straight, like that's sent to you. That's not just a savings, because look, a savings is nice, but it feels good to get money handed to you. You know, even if it is through a savings that you've gained, but having a check sent to you, that's right. Nice.
And just to qualify it, if you remember, I said earlier, there's several different categories that these are being held through.
Yeah.
Depending on the category, some of those are going to be an immediate check. Some of them, for example, may take. One of them, for example, is property taxes. So if you own your building, your commercial building, you're obviously paying property taxes on that. Well, those are assessed once a year, and we'll audit those, and we'll see, if those are being charged too much. That one time a year is when they'll receive that portion back. So some of it's very, very quick. Others, it just depends on the cycle of the tax season as to when they qualify for that.
Okay.
And we can go into the different categories, which may be a little helpful. I don't want to get too technical because it's going to bore everybody, unless you're an accountant with,
There may be some accountants watching or listening. So yeah. Who knows?
Hopefully so.
Yep. All right. So Jack actually has his laptop with him, and there's a proprietary software that Jack with Stryde Solutions uses to determine what the savings would be, what money that you have coming back to you. Right. So what I want to do now is go ahead and allow Jack to show you guys what it is he can do through just demonstrations. So give me 1 second. I'm going to split this screen up. So right now, what you can see is Jack's screen, and he basically has a demo that he's going to run. So if you are interested in this, please pay attention. This could help you if you own a local business. So yeah, Jack, take it away, and let's see what you got going on.
Okay. And usually the way it'll work is we'll do this. I always like to be personal, kneecap to kneecap, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's someone's business, but we can do it remotely. We can do it over the phone, whatever you want to do. But assuming we would do this, and I just sort of set this up. I haven't put any data in here yet, except for name and a company, and this is just any company in Lafayette, for example. So we're just going to call it Test Company. So we're going to run this, and it's this proprietary application is called Presentation Pro, and it'll highlight these different categories that we're talking about, and we'll put some arbitrary numbers here, and then you'll be able to see that from there.
Okay.
So we're going to get started through this. And we're going to run this, let's just say, the way I like to do it, in person with a client. And we just call this company Test Company. Ralph Flax is the president, 412 Settler Strace, etc. So we'll confirm all that. And the first thing we'll ask is, do you own any commercial property? And you can choose yes, no, not sure. And even if you choose no, let's say you're leasing an area, you may have done renovations on that, which your business might have required. So either you own it and or are doing renovations. Those are going to be able to get you those tax credits as well. In this case, we'll say, yeah, I own my building. It's a commercial building. And you ask for the cost of the purchase at the time. And by the way, we do many, many different type of industries. Restaurants, we spoke about that. Auto dealerships, really big here in Lafayette. Obviously, I've seen quite a few.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah. A lot of manufacturing facilities. We're doing several of them as we speak now in the local area, so we're kind of getting that going. Funeral homes, grocery stores, chains, any of those type of things. So based on that, a lot of them will own their business. A lot of them will not, but they'll do renovations. So let's say they do own their commercial property, and we'll put the cost in when they purchased the property and constructed everything on it. And that would include the land, the building, everything that they would need to get it started. Let's say $750,000. That's actually a very, very low number for a business. But we'll just kind of keep it really, really simple here. And let's say over the few years, they've done about $250,000 in renovations. And then next, we'll say, are their property taxes $30,000 or more? Usually it's yes if they have some sort of a business like that, so we'll do there. And let's say in that area, it's probably $75,000. And we go into payroll. Is your annual payroll $250,000 or more? Usually the answer is yes. And I'm going by about 95% of responses that we get.
Yeah, I mean, 250,000. That's if you have like quality employees, that's an easy number to reach. Yeah.
I'm trying to get it, even the small business to a medium size. Not even talking about a large business here. And you,
I mean, this could be a business of less than 10 people.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of what I'm showing here. This is small, worst case scenario, if you will. And you large business owners, you've got really a lot to look forward to once we get into, your actual numbers. But let's say your annual payroll expenses are, again, $750,000. And do you have revenue prior to 2017? Usually the answer is yes. So we'll go next. How many new employees, including replacements, do you hire per year? The average we're seeing is about 50, so we'll put that in. Again, it could be less, it could be more. Do you take credit cards?
Most people do.
Most people do.
Yeah.
And also, let me qualify this. A lot of people will take credit cards. We're working with a company right now that's a big e-commerce company, local here in Lafayette. They do take credit cards, but they're not swiped. They're kind of done over the internet.
Yeah.
So we'll do those as well. We'll audit those as well. So there's a couple of different ways. So we'll say yes, and let's say annual revenue, let's say $1.5 million. And cards are mostly swiped or not swiped. It doesn't matter, as I said, but let's just say swiped. And then here's another category, waste or recycling. Is it more than $300,000 a month? Usually if it's any kind of a business except, sort of a law firm or something like that, the answer is yes. So we'll say that, and let's say it's about $500 a month. And then we go into workers' comp. Is the premium over $40,000 per year? Usually it is, and we'll say in that regard it's $60,000 a year. Are you self-insured? Most of the time they do have their own workers' comp premium, so we'll assume yes. Even if it's no, you still are going to realize those savings. And in this case, again, very small company. We're realizing just under $200,000 for these folks. So this would sort of be, a small restaurant or anything else like that. And then we'll break this down and show a little bit more about what that is. So first thing is hiring incentives. So this is for workers who you've hired and you want to retain, and there's different incentives for a business to keep those workers on board. This was very helpful during COVID. It's also something called disaster COVID ERC, Employee Retention Credit, or disaster ERC, which is big in Louisiana. So hurricane, Ida, Ike, whoever, those were additional savings that a business receives back for retaining employees. So there's two different incentives there. And we continuously evaluate any new employees and their verification and if they qualify for other incentives. For example, the government has something called WOTC, or WOTC, which is Workers' Opportunity Tax Credit. Okay. So if a business decides, let's say they want to hire a veteran, or maybe a disabled person, or anything, that would allow them to help somebody a little more disadvantaged than the rest of the workforce, there's an incentive that they receive for doing something like that. So we study those things, we apply those discounts, and then we keep up with that for, the duration of the business's life, as long as they, continue to hire people, and we'll do, those things for them. So in this case, it's, $60,000 just for that one category.
And this is hiring incentives.
Correct. And so that's just one category.
So the 60,000, that's estimated savings. That means is that a check paid to somebody, or is that just what you don't have to pay?
It's a little of both. In the beginning, it's what you don't have to pay, but it catches up a year in advance. So the year before is what you'll receive the check for. Moving forward, that particular year is what you don't have to pay. And then each year going ahead, they're going to receive a check for that difference, if that makes sense.
Okay. So in arrears. So this is just me having a question. Yep. And when a business consults with you guys and has all this done, all the questionnaires done, they realize what their potential savings are, do they have to reach out to you every year, or is this something that once you guys sit down, you make it in, you future proof it essentially? What does that look like?
Once we sit down and they decide, I do want to go forth with this, we have an agreement, and we just keep up with it for them. We keep up with the filing of every employee to see if they qualify for any of those incentives. They pay a small fee. I think it's $9 a month just to be part of that for that software.
So there's a subscription fee.
It's a subscription fee.
But yeah, really
and we
inexpensive.
do it all for them.
Yeah. Awesome.
So it's a great way to, have those savings on a regular, recurring basis without them having to do a thing.
Yeah.
HR loves it.
I'll bet.
As you can imagine.
Oh man.
So
yeah, like I'm watching it as everybody else watches it, obviously. So I'm interested in seeing where this ultimately goes.
Okay. So if you see there, it asks me, who is it that hires, that handles all that? Well, I just chose arbitrarily the president, Ralph Flax. It just sent an email to him requesting, that dialogue to begin and what we'll need in the beginning to start that process in those documents. So that's how immediate this is. So we'll go to the next one, and that's property taxes. And in this case, let's say, again, that their annual property tax was $75,000. We'll find a savings of about $12,548. This is very similar to a personal home property tax, but it's on a larger scale with businesses, obviously. So, some examples of some of the businesses down there that we've done. Hotels, that's another one. That's a great one.
Oh, I bet.
There's so many, that are local here. It may be a hotel chain, but the franchise owner, is responsible for the property and the taxes and so forth. But that will show whatever that savings happens to be that we're able to calculate. The next one would be R&D, original. So R&D is research and development. And it gets a little bit of a misnomer, if you will, because when you think of research and development, what's the first thing you think of?
I mean, a lab, obviously, tech companies,
Yeah.
uh,
White coats,
yeah, white coats, yeah,
laboratory,
with
petri dishes.
beakers and everything else,
Right,
yeah,
right. And it certainly can be one of those.
right,
But by and large, it's usually not. It's a manufacturing facility.
okay,
It's anybody who has a quality assurance type of program. It's anybody who's developing new concepts of their product, software, new software, maybe designing or qualifying for patents. There's a lot of different companies. I know tons of them here in Lafayette that are going to qualify for an R&D. And what R&D actually allows you to do, and this is from Section 41 of the IRS code, is they're able to take a portion of their payroll and get that back for engaging in some of those things that I just mentioned. And those are substantial when it comes down to, large manufacturing facilities and everybody else that's, doing anything close to what I mentioned.
yeah.
That's a big one for that.
That is a big one. I mean, research and development. I love that. It's like I almost want to say, what can I research and develop here?
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, there are research and development cases in every business if you have a product at all. But I'm pretty sure there's still some, like you mentioned, most of them are warehouse facilities or, different commercial buildings where there's an actual place where people are demonstrating and taking apart things and all that good stuff.
Right. And just an example, for example, an engineering firm, they're an R&D facility because they're looking at different ways to change a process maybe that one of their clients has. Architectural firms, another one, those aren't people in white lab coats, but they're certainly able to qualify.
Yeah, okay, that's cool.
We just entered into an agreement with a client in Texas where I just moved from, and they're one of the largest copper manufacturers in the world, literally. And just in this R&D credit, we got them $2.4 million.
2.4?
$2.4 million just in that one category.
Wow.
And so that kind of gives you an idea of the power of this thing. And, they're expanding as well. So they're increasing their building. So there's another incentive for
2.4 million. I can't even fathom that type of savings. Like, how do you just leave 2.4 million just kind of sitting around and not even know that you can have it?
You leave it by not knowing you can have it. That's really what happens here.
But isn't that the IRS or the tax situation in the America in a nutshell? Like, there's a lot of stuff that people don't realize that they could have back, but because either they don't know how to file their taxes properly, they don't have a CPA, or they don't think that applies to them.
Right. Then
they just kind of hit next or skip, and then like that could save you a lot of money. Like, and just for personal stuff, child care. I know like a lot of parents are probably savvy enough to know like, hey, I just spent like $7,000 last year on child care. I'm going to make sure to get something back. Right. But that actually helps. Like if you really make sure to take that receipt and apply it. But obviously this is different because this is commercial and not personal. Yeah.
And the government's actually made that specific issue easier with the child tax credit.
Yeah.
Directly. But even beforehand, there were ways to do it. And going back on the issue with the CPAs, and to be fair, most businesses do have an accountant, bookkeeper, CPA, which I recommend all large businesses to do that, obviously. I don't have to tell you something you don't know. But many times there's a set method or a set number of things that they're doing for that business. And these are sort of above and beyond the norm. Now, we love CPAs. We work with them all the time. In fact, we always have the CPAs on board when we're together with the client because we can help them. They can really get the documents a lot quicker because they know where everything is. But some of these things get very specific in terms of these credits and the savings to where we're kind of working together. So we're not replacing by any means a CPA. We need them very, very much.
Yeah.
We're working in tangent with them.
Yeah, I don't think we ever even alluded to the idea that this was even a replacement for CPA.
No, not at all.
Yeah, this is just an added layer to things that maybe a CPA wouldn't even know.
Right. And what usually happens in this event, we'll get together with the CPA of a business, and they'll say, well, my accountant usually does this. And we say, that's fine, my CPA does this. Well, we'll work with them. And some of the things maybe they are doing, but there's a number of things maybe that are just missed in the mix. So what this does, it really makes the CPA and the accountant look like a hero, because we can work together with them. And 9 times out of 10, we end up working with the accounting firm, with the CPA firm, in a strategic alliance with a lot of their other clients, because they said, hey, you found this for him. I've got a book of about 80, 90, 150 other clients that they could definitely use something like this. And that's how it starts. And so a lot of this business is sort of through the referral of the accountants, of the CPAs, and they're incredibly valuable, obviously, to the business, but in this process as well.
Okay. So, what else I'm not sure if you're finished or what
Still going.
All right. So, back to your screen.
Yep.
All right. So right now we're on the R&D,
Right.
and it looks like this particular company, this fictitious company that you've made up just for demonstration purposes has what, 30, is that 39,000?
39,000 for that one category.
Okay.
And again, we just had, based on annual payroll, because again, remember the Section 41 of the IRS code takes a certain amount of your payroll and allows you to apply it since you're using these.
Okay.
So that just basically comes from your payroll that they're getting that credit from.
Interesting.
All right. Like I said, I don't want to get too complicated on it, but that's kind of where it's
Yeah.
Then this one is huge. This is cost seg, or that's short for cost segregation. Cost segregation is anyone, as I said in the beginning, who owns commercial property, or even if you don't own commercial property, you've done renovations to the property you're leasing. That will allow you to accelerate the deduction of that. And in a nutshell, the IRS gives you 39 years to depreciate, your property, your real commercial type property. We accelerate that greatly in terms of reclassifying the business, which is all within IRS compliance.
So it's legal.
It's very legal, of course.
Okay, got it.
In fact, the IRS encourages business to do this, and they just don't get the word out enough, I guess. But
you would think that, oh man, you know what? You could go pretty deep with the way the IRS is structured and the tax code. In your opinion, and opinion based only, obviously, why isn't the tax code more simple, that all of this would just kind of apply across the board? If you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't. Why is it so complicated?
It has started decades and decades ago, and a lot of it has to do with the power grab in Washington still. But you got guys, if you remember, like Steve Forbes, who was always for a flat tax, 17% flat tax, and
for everybody.
For everybody. And for my money, that makes a lot of sense in terms of all the other things that you were talking about, even as a personal tax liability that you have. But certainly for businesses, that would make life so much easier. So once these lobbyists and these other areas of concern started coming up, well, they had to adjust some of these, and sometimes the adjustment was only for a few years, and then other times they increased it, they decreased it. It's sort of like Interstate 10. It's under permanent construction.
Of course, always, right?
Yeah. So it's very complicated.
All right.
And that's where the CPAs are very helpful in going into a lot of these, and why we can work a lot with them, and finding these together with them as well. But cost segregation is a big one.
Yeah. So cost segregation, 74,000 right here.
And
all right. What's next?
Next one is credit card processing.
Oh, big one.
Yeah. How many businesses out there taking credit cards? They nickel and dime, a couple cents here, 1-2% next month, and most of them can't even keep up with it. They're busy running the business. They don't have 5 minutes to really look at how much they're getting taken away here.
Yeah.
So we audit that for them. We continuously keep up with that on a real-time basis, and this gives them the ability to get that money back. So this is what they're getting back from the credit card merchant processing. Again, we're not replacing the company, the vendor.
Yeah.
We're auditing them and negotiating that down for them.
All right. So I have a quick question on this particular topic of credit card processing. Okay. So the business is able to get either a break or money back for credit card processing. What about the businesses? As a consumer, they charge you a 4% rate on using a credit card at their business. So like, I think the city of Scott, almost every business, every restaurant there decided, we're going to tack on a 4% credit card processing fee on your bill.
Yeah.
And if you pay with credit card, that's tough luck.
Mm-hmm.
And if you pay with cash, you get a discount. Like
Right.
the way it's all about the way it's worded.
Yeah.
Those businesses that are now charging a 4% to their customers, are they benefiting from this particular thing, or what does that look like? How does that? I'm playing advocate here for consumers.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
No, I'm the same way. If I go somewhere and the first question they have, are you paying by cash or card? I said, well, why is that important?
Right. Why does it matter?
So we know what to charge you.
Yeah.
And basically, it's nothing more than that business passing along the cost that they're being incurred from the credit card processing company.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's 2%, sometimes it's 3.5%, 4%, whatever it might be. So the answer is it's definitely helping the business once we find that savings and we reduce that or we take that away completely. And basically, we work with the merchants and we say, if you guys are not willing to do it, we have several others that are, that want their business. So it's usually it's a very, very high success rate of getting it down. Consequently, from that business saving, that credit card processing fee, it's only normal that they would then negate that fee to you as the consumer.
Okay.
Now, I'm not sure about the city of Scott, if there's anything else in terms of a municipal fee.
I don't think it's municipal. I just think as a business community in Scott,
Right.
they all rallied together and decided, this is going to be the path we move forward with.
Right.
Is, people that come to our businesses here in the Scott area is going to pay the 4% on top of whatever. So like if you go eat, I don't want to name drop a business,
Sure.
but we went and ate at a restaurant, and this restaurant's average bill for 2 or 3 people is around $70. Mm-hmm. And that could be before or after tip, depending on what you have. And then the percentage on top of that, the 4%, it was like not an amount that's like ungodly, but it's just like you look at your receipt.
Right.
Yeah. So you get your initial check at the table, and then you're like, okay, this is good. Sure. You give them your card, and it comes back, and you see the extra fee, and you're like, okay, darn. I didn't realize that was going to happen. Yeah. I realize it now because it's been a thing for the past few years where, and then even now, like in Lafayette, there's a lot of businesses who have adopted the 4% charge, and they even warn you. Sometimes it's either on the door or it's on the menu, like using a credit card.
Right.
And they're going to charge you 4%. I'm like, God dang. All right.
Well, if you look at it, with these costs going away to the business owner, in defense of the restaurant, they're getting charged, so they have to pass it along some sort of way.
Oh no, I get it.
They're going to be.
I always
money.
thought that it was. I thought it was a frowned upon thing. Like I remember over 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, I was using PayPal, and I remember PayPal having something in their fine print saying that your credit card processing fee that we are charging you are not allowed to charge your customers this fee. Right. So I was under the impression that, wow, they're charging me the 4%. Like that, isn't that like going against like the company's policy? Right. Apparently not. Apparently that's changed.
Well, that's a PayPal policy.
Got it.
Or was. But in this case, whatever merchant they're using for their credit card processing, if they're legitimately, charging them, then the restaurant is passing that on.
Yeah.
But if you look at it, once we are able to help them and get that reduced, it's kind of a great marketing thing for the restaurant.
No doubt.
No credit card fees, because we're able to keep our costs contained. And that's actually helped us quite a bit on a lot of the local levels.
Oh, I bet.
Companies like that.
Yeah.
But nobody wants, the business owner doesn't want to pay the additional fee, nor does the consumer.
No doubt.
So
all right. So we got credit card processing.
just about to the end of this. Waste and recycling, usually it's not going to be too much for that. It's about $75 there. And then we basically get to the point where we've done them all. And then right on the spot, we can set up what's called a discovery call. So we'll get together. So we kind of did a 30,000-foot view. It's about $200,000 for this small little business that we can save you. But we'll do a deeper dive with you, about a 30-minute, three-way phone conversation with our back office, which is located in Michigan, by the way. So I'm kind of on the street level here. I'm the front line, work with some of the businesses, find out, if they're a good fit, and then we go from there. So we'll set up that call, and then based on that, we'll get some very specific amounts that we commit to, and then they will, in turn, decide if they want to move forward, enter into an agreement. Again, they're not paying anything until, those cost savings begin to come. And once we see that, depending on the category, there may be a upfront amount that they'll be charged, that they're going to be getting back anyway. But again, the whole thing becomes nothing out of pocket that they're not going to be getting back.
Okay.
And that's really the way that it works. And that we took a long time talking, but usually it'll take about maybe 10 minutes to go through it.
Yeah. Obviously, we took breaks to talk about each kind of step, but like you said, it'll take 10, 15 minutes, if that.
Yeah. And let me just say, too, this was a very small business we just did, and it's one location. So there's a lot of restaurants, for example, that have many locations. We work with a lot of franchises. There's a big national food franchise that's about 20, maybe more than 20 or so in the Lafayette greater area that we're working with, for example. And each one of these gets that amount. So, it just grows exponentially.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy.
It's a great way to kind of look at that. Grocery stores, car dealerships, which is a big one in here, all those locations are separate. So we add them all together.
Wow. So you said this particular size company was about 200,000 that they would
just
be
under
saving.
200,000. Not a big company. I just, I didn't want to do a pie in the sky.
No, I totally get it. Look, go a respectable amount. I get it. So that if somebody's business does have more savings, I mean, obviously you're setting the expectation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
that's
that's
awesome.
it on here. I don't know if you want to close.
Yeah. So I got it back on us.
Okay.
So ultimately, how does someone, a business owner of any size, go about reaching out to you to figure out how to do this? Because, first of all, it's to take that step. As a business owner, you got so much other stuff on your plate. So what is the easiest and least friction way to reach out to you to get this started?
Easiest thing is just give me a call or send me an email. I'm local here. I do have a Texas number because I just moved from Texas.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have that on the screen or not. But
I can pull up. The website, but your personal information, you can go ahead and let me check. I might have it on here.
Okay.
So I have. Is it the 832?
Yeah, 832-338-4074. And that's my direct cell phone. I'm working with clients all day, so if I can't answer, I promise I'll call you back if you can leave a quick message. And you can also send an email to me. And the email address is jack@sfglegacy.com. It's pretty easy.
So I just plugged in your phone number here. So this is Jack's phone number, straight up on the screen. So if you're watching and you're wanting to ask about different savings that you may be able to apply for. That's Jack's phone number, 832-338-4074. He is more than happy to talk with you about any questions about your business and how he may be able to help. And then their website is Stryde Savings, I believe. Let me look at
There's a couple of websites, and I do want to make sure everybody understands. We're not collecting any information on anybody who just wants to look at a website. That's very important to us, and what's called PCI compliance. So it's very secure. Once we start getting information from a client, that goes through a complete different portal and your proprietary app. So none of that. But if somebody just wants to take a look, a little bit, a description of the company, it's Stryde Savings, all that one word, .com.
Okay. And I have the website right here so that you guys can see it. So you can go to make sure it's, the website that you're supposed to be visiting.
Right.
The Stryde is STRYDE. Your autocorrect may want to try to go with an I.
Yeah.
Just make sure to swap that I with the Y, because that's how you're going to get there. Or you can just Google it, Stryde Savings. You'll most likely land there. But if you just want to type it in directly, StrydeSavings.com. That's Stryde with the Y.
Okay, and the last thing too, Ben, if somebody actually just kind of wants to do a self-service on their own, just without even calling me,
okay,
or anything like that, I have a link set up to where they can just enter their own information. It doesn't go anywhere. It just basically does what we just did and gives them an idea, and then they can book an appointment with me. And that, I don't know if you have that pulled up.
Let me go ahead and...
if anybody's a little shy and they don't want to talk to me yet and want to just, kind of play around with it and do it, that's a great way to find out.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to plug it in right here for you. So is it the short link, the GMG?
Right.
Okay.
So
Got it.
HTTPS.
I'm making sure it fits in my screen here. All right. So this is the website that Jack has for you. So it is HTTPS colon / I think is it a backslash? I can't remember. I don't know which one's forward or back, but
I don't either, but
or you could just type in gmg.me /545534, and you'll be able to check it out, and just to make sure that it goes to the right place. I'm going to pull it up on my end here.
Yeah.
So give me 1 second. I'm gonna plug it in. All right, so I just copied and pasted it in here. And so this is where it goes. So affected by COVID-19, emergency employer relief is here. Earn up to, keywords, up to $26,000 per employee.
Yep.
So you can check it out for yourself if you're just kind of wanting to explore it on your own without contacting anybody. Because, some people are just like myself. I would rather not talk to anybody at first. I just want to kind of break down that barrier.
Yep.
But your information is on here as well at the bottom with Jack Marshall, Senior Advisor. And you get your phone number, you get your email address. So, or you can screenshot this this video if you guys want to, so you can copy the link and his information there as well.
And right there on the screen basically talks about just the employee retention. But if you look on the very top right where it says search now, that's where you'll enter all the other category information.
Got it. I just clicked it. So yeah, it says answer the questions below to see an estimated tax credit achievable with your exclusive incentive management system. There you go.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, I think this is very valuable information. Obviously, it's pretty niche to, first of all, only business owners, and business owners of. Do they have to be of a certain size, or can any business owner try it out?
You don't have to own, your commercial property. Any of these categories that we just spoke about: credit card merchant processing, workers' comp, employee retention. Whether you have a big business or not, we'll be able to find something that's going to help you, and you'll be able to get something back.
Awesome.
The bigger you are, the more you're going to get back, obviously, and that takes some time. But it doesn't, we work with small Main Street businesses as well as big Wall Street businesses all over the board.
Well, cool, man. Well, Jack, is there anything else that you want to mention before we close out? Because we are almost at about an hour.
Yep.
And I think we got a lot of information here. It's really neat to see kind of the process take place. It's one of those things where if you own a business, and we do, so who knows, maybe that'd be something, even though I'm like really the only employee, kind of.
Yeah, and in those cases, probably it's not going to be
I'm like,
advantageous.
I am like probably the definition of mom and pop. Like, I'm just the pop.
You know what? That's what makes the world go round these days, too.
Hey, you know what? That's true, man. We need them.
Days.
We need the small businesses. And
But no, I mean, like I said in the beginning, I spend my money to help your business be more profitable. So it doesn't cost you a dime. Just why not try it? If we find something, we'll let you know what it's going to be, and then we can move forward. If we don't, we'll let you know that too. Nobody says no. I can tell you that because it just makes sense, to do this. And we're happy to work with their CPAs and their accountants. Very, very valuable part of the process as well.
Alrighty. Well, Jack, again, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time to tell us about what you can do for people and business owners here that can potentially help them get a little bit of money back, because that's always a good thing. And so with that, have a great weekend, Jack, and I look forward to hopefully hearing some good news about a business reaching out to you from hearing about this. And I look forward to hearing that. Hopefully you guys that are listening or watching, if you own a business, contact Jack and see if he can help you and report back. If he did, I'm curious to know, because I want to see if this works, because it looks like it does. And and Jack seems to be a pretty stand-up guy. So, all right. Well, with that, Jack, again, pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Really appreciate it. And best of luck to your continuing success with developing Lafayette.
I appreciate that. I always will take the good luck, because in business, you need it.
That's right.
All right. Well, with that, guys, y'all have a good one, and we'll see you on the next one.